Hi everyone, welcome all, and good morning. So today we are going to start this this lecture. And in today's lecture, we are going to cover everything related with demo. So we'll start with this designing, provisioning, onboarding, plug and play, and all the rest of remaining workflow which we were discussed in earlier sections, right? So yeah, today I'll show you end-to-end fabric creation of SDA, how you are going to create the SDXS fabric from the DNA Center, and how you are provisioning wireless access points, how you are onboarding different types of endpoints, and then we will do the policy testing as well. So we have different users like guest users, wireless users, then wired users, and I'll show you how you can implement those policies from DNA Center. So whatever we have discussed so far during the course, today we are going to do all these things practically, and for that I have created one lab scenario, and I'll going to show you everything from the scratch. Okay, so this will be much more interesting for you because we'll start from the scratch, and then I'll show you each and every component, how it will work and how you can provision it. So whatever we have discussed, we'll do a demo, and some of the topics you may find as a repeat as well. So previously we discussed and I showcased you discovery demo and plug and play demo, but again here I'll show you that, and for that reason you can also get some more understanding on that live or real type of network setup, how you can create the fabric, how you can onboard the endpoints, the policy and all. So let's start with this. So this is my DNA Center GUI, you can see, and this is the latest release, I would say. You can see the version of the DNA Center is 2.3.3.4, and the workflow will remain the same for previous release or old release. But the GUI, some buttons and the graphical user interface may change, right? So that is one thing you need to keep in mind, but the workflow, it will remain the same. Some of the new features have added in this new release, but we are not going to discuss as this course is more on the fundamental side. So I'll let you know all the things whichever available on the course content, right? And whatever we have discussed in theory, we'll see. So you can see the left hand side, we have this hamburger menu. So yeah, under design, if you click design, we have this network hierarchy. So initially, when I told you in my previous lecture that the planning is really important, without the planning, you can't proceed to design your network. So during the designing, you should have to have network hierarchy, and you need to create the network hierarchy like building, floor, site, and all, right? And once you have done with that, you can see I have also uploaded the floor map and all as per the standard. So this is the kind of hierarchy we have: global, then under area, in that area we have the specific area, then building and floor. So this is how the floor map looks like. Now click on the network settings. So here we discussed that in initial lectures, and some of the demo I showed you earlier as well. This particular setting, you can see here, the inverted triangle is known as the inherited settings. So whatever you are configuring on the global, that can be inherited on the site specific level, right? And if you have that type of requirement, like different site has different DHCP or DNS, then you can configure, and that icon will remove from the particular tab automatically. But whenever you see this icon, it shows that that setting has been inherited from the global site. Okay. So generally we configure all the things like AAA, radius, TACACS and all. So we have to give the ISPSN IP address. and NTP, IP address, the domain name, and whatever message if you want to push, you can push it, and credentials. So this will be very helpful when you're trying to do the discovery. So we showed earlier that discovery demo. So for that, CLI level 15 privilege is really important, and the IP addressing pool. So you can see here, I am on the floor level, right? So I am on the SJC 13.1, that is the floor. And on that floor, I can see I have a couple of pools, like I have EPI pool, I have campus pool, I have extended pool, I have guest pool. So you can see the subnet starts from the 100.123 or 100.100 or 100.99, likewise. So it starts with that. And also I have this LAN automation pool. You can see here, and that LAN automation pool is marked as the LAN. The type is LAN. Other pools are marked as the generic, right? And you can see all the pools are inherited because of this inverted triangle. So by looking at, you can easily identify that all the pools, whatever I have reserved, that are inherited from the global site. So on global, you can see here I have different types of subnet, but on global I have super net. So I have /8 pool 100.100 or 100.0. I'll show you that again. But I have one supernet on the global. Out of that supernet, I have segregated different small chunks of IP pool, and I have reserved for the site level based on my requirement, based on my design. So same like that, whenever you are planning, you need to configure a supernet on the global site, and site specific. When you are trying to reserve, you can plan your designing accordingly based on the requirement. So I have different type of chunks, like from /23, /16, /24. All the pools are different, but the main pools you can see is the supernet, because this inverted icon shows here is telling me that pools are inherited from the global. Now let's go to global, and if you can check here, I have this 100.0.0.0/8 pool, right? So there are so many IP address. If you count /8 pool, so the IP address will become so many, and out of that /8, I have just reserved 2% of the IP addressing for one floor. Same like that, you can plan it. So always remember, on the global, you can create single pool, a global pool. In site specific, you can deploy different types of small chunks as per the design. And you can see the IP address, number of IP addresses, which is assigned. Now image repository. So that we also discussed in previous demo, like how you can import the images and all. But again, like to make you more confident, you can see the image repository. So this is the new version of DNA Center. That's why the UI looks different, but the same concept is applied here. You can import the images, you can segregate the images as per the device type, device family, and the same, like you can mark that image as a golden image. So here you can see I have two total imported images, 0, which is marked as the golden. Now under tools, so I again told you initially that we need to create any sort of template, right? Like day 0 or day n template, whenever we want to onboard any network device, any new network device, or suppose if you have already device which is already existing device which is running in the production, and if you want to do any sort of network change, right? Instead of going to CLI and try to configure each and every line of code, you can create a kind of template. Suppose the same configuration which you want to do on a couple of routers or a couple of switches, then it's always good to use the template. And that template will call as a day n template, as you are using those templates on the live production network. devices. But for new device, that template will known as the day zero template, because we are using that template as the vanilla configuration for the reachability or some of the basic information related with the network and all. So for that, under tools, you can see we have this template editor. You can go and click template editor. And here you can create the template by clicking on this icon. Already I have created a couple of templates. So I'll show you how you can use it. So click on that. So this is the VTY access, because most of the time we have different types of management subnet. And for that subnet, we need to use access list, and that access list must be permitted under line VTY. So that is a kind of template which will be there for all the devices, and that I want to push from the DNAC instead of going hop by hop and configure through CLI. I'll use this template. So you can use that. And another template which I've created is for onboarding. So this is the template you can see, the no IP domain lookup. So this is the static template that will remain the same for all the devices, and that can be used when I onboard the network devices. So same like that, you can create different type of network templates, and that template can be assigned to the network profile. So here I have already created a network profile, but always you can come and click on the plus icon, and then you can start creating the network profile. So network profile is the profile which comes with different flavors like routing, switching, firewall, your storage servers, likewise, right? So for which device you are trying to create template, for that profile you need to select. And then you need to assign that network profile to the specific site. So whenever on that site any new device comes, then it will automatically shows you different types of template whenever you are provisioning something. So I will show you in the demo again, but on high level, you can see this is the network profile, and this is the plus icon. You can come and click. So this is different profile, routing, switching, firewalls, whatever I told you. Click on that. So I'll show you how I have created this. I went to edit. So you can see this profile name, which I have used, this Bay Area switches. The profile type would be switching, as I have selected the switching profile. On the onboarding template, I have added one template. So whatever the template which I just show you, that template I have added, right? And you can check the name and all. On the day end, I have added the restricted VTY access template, right? And then here you can come and save the profile. And that template or profile will attach to the different site as per the design. So I have attached this to the Bay Area. You can create number of templates, and likewise you can use. Now let's check the plug and play workflow, right? Initially in my initial videos, or if you check, I have showed you a demo of plug and play, but again, to make you more confident, this is the second demo for plug and play. You can see how this PNP process works. So go to plug and play. Here I have one switch which is showing me. Why it is showing me? Because I have just plugged that switch, and due to this plug and play protocol, my switch sends the DHCP discover, and on the DHCP response, I got the option 43, and in the 43, I have the different ASCII value of DNA Center, and then through PNP protocol, my switch registered as the unclaimed state on the DNA Center. That's why I can see under plug and play, I have two devices which are showing me as an unclaimed device. So simply I need to select that device and claim that device. I need to double check the switch and the ID. So this is my switch. So the same serial number you can see, same model number, right? Some of the PNP messages are going to exchange, and that's what I'm trying to show you, if you can see. So here you can see PNP discovery is trying to connect to PNP server. then PNP discovery connected to PNP server, right? And this is the ASCII value which I was referring to. So this is the DNA Center IP address, which is coming under this string, right? So with this IP address, it will identify the DNA Center IP address and try to register as an unclaimed. Now, once you see the devices are showing you on this dashboard, you need to claim those devices, right? So select those devices and claim. So I'm actually doing plug and play for my wireless LAN controller as well as one of the fabric edge switch. You can change the name as per the design. And that name, whatever you are changing, it will again configured on the device. So that is the thing. You can assign that device to the specific site. That is recommended, but not mandatory. At the end of this demo, you will completely able to understand the workflow of each and everything, like how to plan, design, and implement, and how to create the SD access fabric, how to onboard the access point, how to create the policy, everything. So keep focus on this, and in case if you have any doubt, you can ask me. I'll try to solve you on the fly, right, on the call. Because this is the second last lecture. Tomorrow we are going to discuss the platform, and on the platform, it will be combined theory plus demo, and then we'll wrap it up. So if we have tomorrow, we have time, then I'll also conduct 30 minutes of doubt clearing session back to back. And then if you have any doubt, you can come and ask me. Then we'll wrap it up by end of the tomorrow session. Okay. But this is the most important demo, I would say. So please focus on that and try to understand as much as possible. So site assignment, everything we need to do it, even though you can assign the image as well. If you have any specific image to load during the plug-in play process, then you can load it from the image repository. And some of the controller related settings which you need to do, like where is the wireless LAN controller as connected, or what is the management IP address, and subnet mask and gateway, right? So it can be reachable. So this is completely your connection related details, the management related detail, which you have already, or whenever you are planning to deploy this network devices. So you can keep in mind, you can kind of having that type of list, and then you can create. It would be easy for you to just check and provision from those details, like which interface the device is connected, which VLAN you have passed on the switch, right? Those are the basic things, because everything under the hood is routing and switching at the end, right? So the physical connectivity, the VLAN ID, you need to mention. So you can see it shows the template, whatever the template which we have configured earlier, CP border, right? I showed you in the tools. So same template will automatically come. Why? Because we have assigned that template to network profile, and that network profile is assigned to the specific site. And now we are onboarding the new device to that site only. That's why it is showing here. And in case if you don't want to use this template, you can uncheck it So you can go and onboard that without template. But by default, as this template has assigned to the specific site, you are onboarding that device to this site only. That's why it is signed, right? So that is the reason which that's why we are using network profile, as it acts as a glue between your template and this device. You can preview the configuration from here itself. If you are okay with that, you can provision. And later you can claim it. So it may take some time to onboard the device. So out of two, one device got claimed successfully. One was not successfully onboarded, but we'll see. We'll try to refresh as it was the previous log. So the state is changed. You can see unclaimed to planned. And the percentage is also changed in few minutes. Once that is provision, you can see under provision. As of now, it is under unclaimed. You can see the percentage has changed and state is also. Now this switch has not onboarded, right? So we need to re-provision, re-onboard that device due to some connectivity glitch. It may happen. So as we are onboarding on the San Jose 13 building, right? Floor 2. You can see template has automatically come and showed you here the SJCCP border is one. Click next, and claim. Is our wireless LAN controller has provision automatically. So that's why it shows here number 1. His workflow is initiated. So in few minutes, it's also come under this provision. And the state is changed from onboarding, unclaimed to planned.
Do we need to point out any device towards the DNA so that it will hit to the send probes to the DNA and like we do in the AP
Good
WLC?
question. So the idea is like we have one DNA center controller, right? And that controller has direct connectivity to your border. So border would be the first device which you are onboarding. So that is the workflow it should be, because once you onboard the border, because it is directly connected to DNA center, right? I mean, the connection would be direct. However, the physical connectivity would change because of switching infra, but that will just layer 2. But if I talk about the L3, then the connection is direct from border to DNA center. And that is the first hop. Like your border is the first hop gateway from the exit point of view. Because whenever the traffic goes out from the fabric, it will always hit to border, and border will back and forward the traffic as per the routing. Now, to answer your question, we should have direct layer 3 reachability from this border loopback or this border interface to DNA center. Now the question is, you are onboarding new border, then how we can have direct connectivity? That's why we are using plug and play. So in plug and play, what happens? Whatever the DHCP server you have configured, suppose you have your info blocks or other DHCP server, right? So in DHCP server, you have the basic pool which you want to use to onboard the plug and play devices. Now, whenever any switch which is powered on and start kicking on the plug and play process, it will start generating the DHCP discover messages. So in DHCP discover messages, it will try to ask the IP address for basic reachability. And your DHCP server, whatever you have configured, that server will give the IP address with some specific options value. So in that options, you will get the IP address of DNA Center. So once that options value comes and that response message comes on the switch, it will try to unpack the ASCII and identify the DNA Center IP and try to hit the DNA Center IP address and claim itself as a unclaimed. Like it will showing you under plug and play as a unclaimed. Then onwards, you can start provision the switch. So that is the flow. So first border, then you can onboard the access switches, which is the down below. So that you can use through LAN automation.
So you
So
mean we have a option in DHCP where we can define our DNS or
exactly.
DNAC IP address.
Yeah,
What that option is?
Option 80.
Option 8.
80. So if
80.
you check my previous recording, I showed you which options, how the ASCII value work, how the PNP process work in theory, in much more detail. So I would suggest to watch my previous recording. It was a detailed discussion on the plug and play. But yeah, to answer your question, that is how it works. So
Okay. So once we add the border router, then other down the border router,
correct.
will
So that is the flow. Yeah. So border will act as a temporary DHCP. So when you are doing LAN automation, LAN automation is the different terminology. It is not plug and play, but whatever the access switches you are onboarding, that will be the part of plug and play, and your border will be acting as a temporary DHCP server, as it is the first hop device for the access switches. And that configuration will automatically push from DNA Center to border. And once the LAN automation completes, it will remove the temporary configuration for DHCP, whatever DNA Center has pushed to onboard the new access switches. It will remove it when you try to click on the stop. I'll show you that as well. So keep hold the question until we finish the LAN automation part.
Okay, thank you.
And keep in mind that every release has different advanced new features. So whatever I'm saying, that is the foundational and fundamental things that will remain the same for all the releases. But some of the new features you can explore with every release on the DNAC, right? Now you can see it is provision. If I refresh under provision, I have two devices. Let's click on the network setting and provision some of the wireless related profiles, settings, SSID. So see, that is one of the easiest way to configure your wireless LAN controller, as you don't need to go to wireless LAN controller and start configuring different RF profile, SSID and everything. Instead of that, you can use this DNAC dashboard, click on the wireless and you can start configuring the settings as per the design from here itself. And those settings will be pushed during the provisioning to the wireless LAN controller, right? So here today we are going to configure the SSID, different RF settings, profile and all. So just click on the add here. Those are the settings which I'm showing as of now on the screen. So you can see so many settings we have. So based on the design and based on every release, it's getting added. But the basic stuff which is required is the SSID and RF profile. So here we are under SSID section. This is different RF profile, which is standard or by default, I would say. You can use this or you can create your own. So for SSID, come to this SSID page dashboard section and click on the add. So on right hand side, there is the add icon.
Do it carry any templates with respect to device series? Like which we do in the SD-WAN kind of stuff? Any templates?
So in templates for which we have
Like
templates
any
for
device
wireless.
configuration with respect to.
Yeah, we have wireless profile where you can create different templates, and that templates can be onboarded like day 0, day n, same like which I showed you for switching. So
Okay.
the workflow would remain same irrespective of device category. If you checked here, let me go back and show you what I wanted to show. Yeah, here there is an add icon, right? Once you click add, there is two options. There are two options, enterprise and guest. So first enterprise, we are creating the enterprise SSID. Need to give the name. The settings, which you can use as default or as per the design, you can change it. So here you need to configure the AAA. So whatever the PSN you have, it automatically will show you here once you integrate the ICE, right? Some of the advanced settings. Just showing you what are the different advanced settings. You can have some thoughts, but yeah, as of now, we are not going to discuss or we are not going to configure those advanced settings. Now, this is the profile. You can associate any profile which you have, and whatever the templates which you have, which are related with that wireless profile will automatically comes during the provisioning. So this is some of the profile you can create. So whenever you want to create kind of same settings for different wireless devices, then you can use the same profile. That would be easy. You can review the settings here, save it. Now that profile which we have created, that is pending. Pending in the sense it is not assigned to the specific site. So we need to assign to the specific site. So whenever any access points or any wireless LAN controller which are available or onboarded on that site or already onboarded on those devices, these settings, whatever we have created, can be applied during the provisioning. Now, again, guest profile, guest SSID you need to create. So that is the same workflow. Click on the guest, select the name of the SSID. Some of the advanced settings you may not find in the older release, so don't worry on that. But yeah, with every release, it gets increased and advanced. So for guests, we will also create a kind of portal, right? So whenever you can, you must have observed that whenever you are in the guest network, you may find some guest portal, right? On that guest portal, you need to fill your basic details, and then the OTP comes, and then your device will get registered for temporary access. The same thing will configure from the DNAC, the guest portal, like the UI itself. Just imagine when you are creating a kind of guest access portal, which UI you want to use, which logo which you need to use, what message you want to use, what fields are required, what data you want to collect from the guest users. So many things you can use and create a kind of guest portal. So that is also one thing which I want to show you. So everything will work from the DNAC. So you don't need to go don't need to go to WLC or anything. Just work on DNAC and provision everything from here. The same thing here, we are configuring AAA PSN, which is by default available as we have already integrated the ICE, right? And here you can see it is self-registered and central web authentication. So I'll show you the guest portal creation. Now it is hotspot. So that is one setting, because we are getting that page on the guest user as a temporary access and temporary DHCP, so that your guest client will allow to access that portal. The template which we have created, the profile, you can see, select that profile. If you want to create new, you can use the new profile. Click on the add and done. Now on this portal setting, you can see we have this option to create the portal. So click on the create portal. I told you, right, what UI looks like, what agreement or terms and condition which you want to post. Same thing which you can use, what data you want. You can change accordingly. As per this demo, I have not customized anything, but yeah, I just wanted to show the company name here, logo, you can edit, the acceptable use policy, you can change as per the compliance of your company, the portal name, everything. Once you're done with that guest portal creation, you can save it and next. Now you can see the summary of all the settings and then create the SSID. Click on the wireless home. These two SSID will, you can check. Now we need to provision the specific wireless LAN controller so that we can push this configuration, SSID related configuration or any advanced setting which we have created. That setting can be implemented on the device. You can see those two devices which we have onboarded during the plug-and play process, and now under the inventory it is showing, right? So when we provision this device, I'll show you what would be the flow. So first select the wireless LAN controller. Okay, as of now, the first device which we are onboarding is the provision is the folder. So okay, provision that, provision device, click on that. So the difference between onboarding the device through PNP and provision the device is like whatever the network setting which you have configured for the devices, that settings will be configured on the device. Unless and until you provision the device, those settings will not be configured. So provision step is really important. Like whatever you have configured, to make that configuration alive, you need to provision the device. You can verify the settings, TechAct settings, NTP settings, like whatever the settings which we have under network settings, those settings can be found here. And template. So that workflow is started. You can check the status under task. But now I need to configure this WLC. So same process, click on that WLC. Under action, we have this provision and provision device. Here we need to select the IP location. So wherever your access points are available, you need to select that. As we need to fill the correct location. So that's why it was delayed, like the managed IP location. Wherever the access points are available, you need to select the sites. So you need to double check and ensure that everything is in place and correct on the correct floor, right? And the wireless profile also need to double check that is assigned to correct site. If any setting is remaining, you can come and again do it. Also, you can check the assigned site is pending. So yeah, that was the thing which you need to take care. If any setting is remaining, your provisioning workflow will not proceed. So finish all the workflow, then go to the provisioning section. So if any template you have created for wireless, it will show you here. So far we have not created. So select the focus area as a provision. And you can see the status, it is configuring as of now. The switch, which is in the success state. Even under task, you can see the provisioning device in progress. It got success, and now I'll show you the LAN automation. So LAN automation workflow will also start from the provisioning. So under action, there is a LAN automation tab. Just click on that. So LAN automation meaning you are configuring the underlay configuration. So underlay means like your ISIS configuration, your basic reachability configuration, right? The point-to-point links which you want to use, that configuration is known as the LAN automation, and that will be part of your underlay, the basic reachability. However, you have an option to configure the device manually. So you can use any protocol. So the recommended protocol on LAN automation, or the only protocol in LAN automation, is ISIS for underlay routing. But if you want to use your manual configuration and bring the reachability between all the devices, the point-to-point reachability, then you can use OSPF as well. Like based on your network requirement, device and design, you can choose. But the LAN automation is the easiest way to configure the underlay, as we don't need to go hop by hop basis and configure this routing protocol, making the interface up and all, configuring the IP address on different interfaces and all, right? So that is the importance of LAN automation, as we are automatically configuring the underlay part. So that is the workflow. We'll see how it goes. So first you need to select the primary site, then other things. So which site you want to configure. So whatever the network hierarchy you have created, you will find, and where are your mostly device getting connected, or based on design, you can select the site. Then the primary device is the seed device, which I told you right earlier. So the seed device is the border, because that is the first hop device from the DNAC perspective. Select that. Then we need to select the port, because ports are really important. Which port is connected to which device? So here come under this, select port of primary device. And based on the physical connectivity, you need to mark that port. Like from which port your access node is connected, right? So connectivity should up, and then you can mark that port as in LAN automation workflow. Now, this time for ISIS domain password. If you want to use it, can use it. And again, from which IP address pool your device gets the IP address for the underlay. That is also important, because on the overlay, we are using different scheme, and on the underlay, we are using different IP addressing scheme. However, we can use the same IP addressing scheme as well, but the idea is to simplify when we are trying to troubleshoot. So we can easily know that, okay, we are trying to troubleshoot the underlay connections or overlay, right? Today we have very low attendance, only 12 people are, 12 people joined the call. Now, whatever the LAN automation pool we have created, that pool, you can find it from here itself. It will show automatically. Select that pool, select the ISIS domain password. So here you have an option to give the device host name, prefix, and detail. So for that, you can download a sample file, a CSV Excel file. You can add the device host name as per the design, as per the network compliance, right? Then you can upload it. So for all the device, it will use a different name. as per the CSV, whatever you have configured. That is optional state. If you don't want to do, you can directly proceed. But yeah, it is good to have the different unique name for different devices. Click start and it will starting the process. It may take time. So in the LAN automation, you can remember these things. It will configure these portions only, like the IP addressing, the point-to-point reachability, right? But Lisp related configuration, it will not do. It will not do any sort of Lisp related or VXLAN related configuration on the device. This is just for the underlay. And you know very well that Lisp VXLAN will come when we talk about the overlay. So how many devices are connected? All those devices will discover, and it will highlight it here under this discovered devices, right? And the status will change. So let's wait for a few minutes. Can keep checking the status. So status has changed to seed provisioning. Let me fast forward a little bit because it can take time. So don't want you to hold. Okay, now you can see 3 devices that got discovered and status is in progress. Once it's get completed, we need to stop this as there is a stop icon. So whatever the temporary DHCP configuration that DNAC has pushed on the border, that will be removed and your device will be discovered. Okay, completed 2, 1 is in progress. Let's forward that a little bit. Yeah, you can see completed. So once you click on the stop, it will give you this message as a status, stop in progress. So during the stop in progress, it will try to remove all the dummy or unnecessary configuration which temporary DNAC has made on the border related with DHCP. Now, once that stop in progress done, you can see all the devices which are onboarded through LAN automation can be found under the inventory, right? So here we need to give the roles of different devices. So come to this inventory and select the role. Now, whatever the device which we have onboarded, we need to provision that device. When I say provision, you should always remember that I'm talking about the network settings, right? Whatever we have configured under DNAC is DNAC network setting design, right? Those network settings we need to push. And select the site as per the design. Like any template you have. For our case, we have this template restrict VTY. So that will automatically push during the provisioning process. So site selection is really important. If you have any doubt, you can always go back and change. You can double verify the configuration, deploy now. It's in progress, and you can see different device host names. So once everything is done, we are good to go with other process related with policy and all, because we have onboarded the network devices successfully. We have provisioned those devices, and now other use cases we can explore. So we are now creating the virtual network. So for virtual network, you need to go to provision, and there is an option. Let me show you again. Few minutes, then click on this menu, provision. Just second time. Under XDXS, we have virtual network. So by default, you may find these two virtual network. When I say virtual network, that means VRF. So there's two VRF you can see here, default virtual network and infra VN. Infra VN will always use to onboard the access points, right? And default VN will come by default. Now, if you want to add more virtual networks, you can come and click the add button here. There is an add button, and give the name. Guest. Now click on the transit. So transit is the thing is where you are configuring the layer 3 handoffs. So whenever I say layer 3 handoff, that means from border to your fusion device or border to your other out of fabric device, routing device, you are creating kind of EBGP neighborship in VRF, different VRF, whatever the VRF you have. Like we have campus VRF, guest VRF, infra VN, right? So that VRF related EBGP neighborship you need to create to fusion device. And when I say fusion device, that is the normal router that could do inter VRF route linking. So if you want that type of use case where you want inter VRF communication, by default, one VRF can't talk to other VRF, but if you want to have that sort of requirement when you want inter VRF communication, then you need to have this fusion device, which actually fuse the routes between two VRF. That's why we called as a fusion device, right? And that the process of creating BGP handoff is automated on the border, but on the far end router, which is out of the fabric, on that device, you need to create the BGP handoff manually, right? So on SDXS side, it is automated. On other side, you need to do manually. And on the transit side, we have two types of transit. One is the SDA transit, other one is IP-based transit. So we generally use the IP-based transit because of the eBGP connections, right? But SDA transit is different terminology and different way of delivering these connections outbound. As we are not going to discuss that, so we'll focus on the IP-based transit. Click on the create transit. Here you can see transit type. We have SDXS. We have SDXS list pops up. That is advanced one. We are not going to discuss these two. We just only discuss this IP based because most of the design has this IP based. So first we need to select the transit name. That is the layer 3 handoff name. Even in old release, you may not find this pub sub or pub sub, right? That is the new one. So as I told you, we need to create the BGP layer 3 handoff. So give the BGP autonomous number that can be configured on the border node side. Now under fabric side. So here we are creating the SDXS fabric, right? So please focus on this because we are creating different device roles, control plane node, border node, edge node, everything we are going to create. And whenever we are deploying this configuration, the list configuration, the VXLAN configuration will automatically push from the DNAC to those devices. So you don't need to worry about that. Come and create the fabric. So here we are creating the fabric side. Select the site which you want to make as a fabric or SDF fabric. That could be any site based on your network view. Just 1 second. So under the create fabric site, you can see there are some of the details which is mentioned, wired endpoint data collection, and it is showing all the things like which site you want to make it as a fabric. You can select the site, location from the network hierarchy, click next. Now we have this different kinds of authentication template. So first one is closed authentication that will be based on 802.1x authentication mechanism, where it will use the supplicant credentials like your username and password. And based on the authentication, your endpoint will get access to the network. This is the first closed authentication. The second one is open authentication. That is completely open. So in that open authentication, you don't need any sort of prior credential to onboard your network users or endpoints, right? So most of the time for your badge readers or your Internet of Things devices, this can be used because those are the static endpoints. Your printers and everything can be used as this open authentication. But closed authentication mostly work with these users, right? So users needs to add their credential, and based on that, we can identify their identity and we can segregate and give the policy related access, specific access. And low impact would be the authentication mode where prior to authentication, your device gets the DHCP and DNS related access so that it can get the IP address, and afterwards it needs to be authenticated, and if those credentials are correct, then the device will get the correct IP as per the VN and as per the policy, right? Those are different 4 flavors which you can use and deploy. And the same thing which is mentioned here on the node, you can check. Keep this fabric zone, that is the advanced feature you may not find in your old release. Now, this is the summary. You can see everything. If you are okay, you can deploy it. It will provision the create the fabric, right? And once the fabric is created, you may find this fabric site and all the devices listed on the fabric site like this. Just a moment. Into fabric site and see we have this 1013 fabric site as created. Click on that and the device will show you here as a topology view, as in topology view. right? So here you can see your control plane, device, CP, your edge switch, and here on the downside, there is a wireless LAN controller. Now we need to configure the list related configuration, the overlay related configuration, right? So, and we also need to assign the role, whether the border is also acting as control plane, the access node is acting as the edge device or what. And before that, under the host onboarding, you can see we have this template, close authentication and everything mentioned. Okay, yeah. So this is the fabric infrastructure view. Here next to it, there is a host onboarding, right? Click on that. You can see initially we have selected this crossed authentication. The same mod is there. If you want to change, you can come and change. Under virtual network, whatever the virtual network we have created, we need to map the IP pool to that virtual network so that whenever any user gets authenticated and when after the authentication, that user gets the IP address from the particular virtual network, right? Based on the authorization policy which we have created or which we are going to create. So see all the virtual network we have here, campus, guest, infra is default and default is also available. I mean, those two VNR comes by default. We can select any of the virtual network. So these three virtual networks you are adding on the fabric side, the VRF basically. Now we need to assign the role. So that is the edge here you can see SJC edge. So I need to select the edge node. I just need to toggle it. Add. So the device will become blue and here you can see EN, that means edge node. Now wireless LAN controller. Just toggle it. So all the fabric related configuration will be pushed once we deploy the fabric. Now my border is acting as a control plane as well as the border, right? And also I need to configure the layer 3 handoff on my border for this BGP and handoff. So this configuration, which will be used here as the handoff. Border node. So you need to select the layer 3 handoff. Now you need to give the BGP autonomous system. And here you can see there is a check mark default to all virtual network. So whatever the virtual network we have added earlier on this fabric side, for all the virtual network, it will create the BGP peering. And also at the transit site, whatever the transit we have configured, right? And for which IP address pool, it will create the BGP neighborship. For that, you need to select the pool, transit pool, right? And also interface which we need to select, like the physical ports, the physical connections, because at the end, you have some sort of physical connection which is going from your border node to fusion router, the far end router, right? So those ports which will be marked and select. There should be an option under this Bay Area transit of selecting the ports. Let me just forward it. Yeah. So here you can see sometimes UI gets stuck. So to refresh it, here you can see add external interface. So you need to select that interface, which is connected to far end router or fusion router. And for all virtual network, it will create the BGP pairing. You need to specify the VLAN ID that is passed on that link. So autonomous system AS number is really important and mandatory. So we need to assign that. It will be on the top of the page. It's a typo. So you can see marking is in place on all the devices. Now you are deploying the fabric related configuration. Just click on that. Yeah, so host configuration is done. That's why the host device getting dark in blue, like dark color, right? Even you can check the task, the status and all. Now you can add any other virtual network as well. If you forgot to add the virtual network initially, you can add it later on, then configure it later on, and you can add it. And whenever you add, you need to deploy. So that is one key catch. Just adding don't work. You need to deploy that configuration, and then only then it will get implemented on the device. And like that, you can add that virtual network. Now go to host onboarding. And here there are some of the authentication templates which we discussed earlier. But we need to map the IP address pools as well, right? For different virtual network. So after authentication, those endpoints will get the IP from that pool only. So we have added the virtual network earlier. We have also created the BGP neighborship from border to Fusion router. Now, after authentication, which IP that device will get or that endpoint will get. So for that, IP to VN mapping is required. So we are going to use and create that. So how it will work? Just click on the VN. Here you need to add. There is an option of add. Give the IP address pool. You can find the IP address from the list of the drop down and specify the VLAN name. Automatically it will take the VLAN number. But if you want to specify the name, you can specify it. You can also specify the type of traffic. See, the mapping has been done. You can deploy that. So the SVI will configure on the switch for this virtual network, right? So interface VLAN campus, under that, the IP address SVI from that pool, which we have marked, the SVI has created, and that SVI is acting as a gateway. So whenever any endpoint gets connected from the edge switch, the gateway will be the SVI of that interface VLAN campus. So quite easy to understand. And that SVI is identical on all the fabric edge devices. And that SVI is known as the Anycast gateway, right? Because it is identical. So we are getting the seamless roaming. Suppose if user is moving from one floor to other floor, and that user is wireless user, the default gateway would be the same on all the fabric edge of that SVI. Every time you do any change, you need to deploy it. Otherwise, it will not implement it. By just adding the configuration, it won't work. You need to deploy it. Same like other VNs you can do. That is for AP onboarded pool, AP infra. That's why we have selected the pool type as AP. Initially, I told you. So VN2 IP pool mapping is done. Now for wireless SSID, we need to select the specific IP address pool. Like for campus, we need to select the pool for guest as well. Now you need to select the specific port where your access point is physically connected, right? So here we have one edge switch you can see on the left hand side, and I have one access point which is connected on the port. So that you need to check and configure. Now the SDXS part is done, the configuration of underlay, overlay. Now we'll do the policy and client testing, whether we are getting the SSID of wireless client on wireless client or not, whether we are trying to able to access the network or not, authentication works or not, right? And then if we implement any sort of policy like permit deny, it will work or not. So that is the last use case. And then we have the access point provisioning, and then we'll do this wireless testing. So we'll complete this in a few minutes, but yeah, all in all, need to complete all the use case so that we are good. So for client, I have created a video 1 second. So this is one of my client, right? This is fired client, and I have this adapter which is there. So that adapter is connected, and this is fired client. So that client is directly connected on the switch through cable RJ45. So need to add the credentials. So I'm adding the credential. It got access of network, get successfully authenticated. We can check the IP address. So the same IP we can, that user can get from the campus pool, right? 100 dot something. So 22 is the IP address of this client. So gateway is 0.1. So this is the another client. This is client 2, you can see, and also it get access to network. After adding the credits, right? So this client has the IP address of 21. The client 1 has the IP address of 22, right? Now we can ping to gateway, ping to each other, client 1 to client 2, because both are connected to wired, I mean, and from the same edge. This is 22, client 1. So we'll try to create a kind of scenario where client 1 is trying to ping to client 2, and we'll put the continuous ping, right? So once it is pingable, we'll try to implement the policy and deny the IP traffic. And then we'll see whether that policy has implemented or not. And if it is implemented, then the packet drop and request timeout we can observe on the ping, right? So that's how we can test. And the policy testing, policy creation, the access contract creation, also we can see how to create and deploy. So that is one use case. The second use case is pending is access point provisioning and then wireless client SSID testing. So that is the final use case. Then we can wrap it up of this lecture. And tomorrow we are going to cover the DNA Center as a platform and short demo on that. And then we'll discuss some of the doubts if you have any for 15, 20 minutes or 30 minutes max to max. Then we can finish this. So that is the agenda for tomorrow. So you can ask other folks to join in case if they want to understand more. You can see the ping is working. This is the 21 itself, right? 22 is also working. So and you can check the internet access. Internet access is also working. Now we can ping 22 from 21. You can also ping default gateway so that when we deploy the access contract and policy, we can see that the gateway is pinging, but the communication from one PC to other PC is not working due to the policy which we implemented, right? So gateway would be one. Okay, now go to policy, use group-based access control. And here we have policy. Under the policy, you can see different SGTs are mentioned, source and destination, right? So we have logged in with these two wired endpoint with SCCT and HR credential. So out of two, one is SCCT user and the second one is HR user. The credential is different for the users. So we need to create a kind of policy because it is unidirectional. So if you are blocking from SCCT to HR, so one way ping is blocking, as however the ICMP will drop again. But it is best to use the bidirectional policy because as of by default it is unidirectional. You can just come and see the source is the SCCT here. You can see the destination is HR. The policy status is enabled. Now we need to add the contract. To change the contract, so what contract you want to implement? Like you want to deny the IP total, so you can use that contract, or if you want to create any customized contract for specific port protocol, you can come and create that. But as I want to show you a demo, I just deny all the IP traffic from these two hosts. You need to save it. You need to deploy it. That is marked as a red. Now here there is a deploy icon. You can come and deploy it. The red means deny, green means permit, and this brown color shows, ivory color shows custom, which is unique or customized. And reverse traffic contract is also implemented from HR to SCCT. Here deploy. See, the gateway is pinging, but the 22 is not pinging, right? So that is the easiest way to check the policy is working or not. This is called PC, another PC. Okay. Now we'll focus on access point provisioning, and then we'll test the wireless SSIDs and also check the guest portal if it is coming, not coming, and all. We come to inventory, and there are a couple of access points which you can see, only one as of now, but yeah, access point name starts with AP. Need to assign that access point and then provision the access point so that access point can get the SSID and it will start broadcasting all the SSID to users and all the RF related settings, whatever we have configured. So I'm trying to log into my edge switch. I'm just bouncing my port where my access point is connected, right? Shut and unshut. So that is the best practice when you are onboarding or when you are provisioning the access point. So you can see it get detected. Now you need to select that access point and provision. Select the site floor. And select the RF profile if you have customized profile then. You can see the network settings, getting post provision. Once it is done, it will start broadcasting those two SSIDs which we have created earlier. And then we can log into wireless client and check whether we are able to access both SSIDs or not. This is my wireless client. So far, I'm not getting. I will turn off my Wi-Fi and again start. Yeah, first one is coming to SDA. Add the credentials. The second one is also coming. See, they have guessed. Yeah. First, we'll check and test this, and then we'll go to test. Yeah, it's getting connected. Okay, we can access, we can check the IP addressing. It should be from different pool as we are using wireless, right? I guess guest pool would be different. This would remain the same because this is from the campus infra. But the guest IP address pool is different. Yeah, that is 23. Gateway is the same. So you can see the gateway is same for all the laptop, all the endpoints, right? So how seamless transition happens for wireless to wired or wired to wireless, and how policies are getting pushed irrespective of device type. This is again basic test. Now let's focus on guest and then we can wrap it up as we are almost on top of the hour. So connecting to guest, you can see the guest portal has came. Whatever we have defined on the DNAC, right? Same guest portal, it got gained. And after accepting that terms and condition, we can see the web pages opened. And also we are seeing the connection with full coverage. You can now check the IP addressing. So the IP addressing is from different pool, 10.100.99, previously 100.100. So everything is correct, right? So that is the previous connection for different SSID. Now with guest SSID, we are getting different IP address pool, 100.99. So that was it for the demo. I hope you enjoyed, you liked, as we have covered so many things and that make sense to you regarding this SDXS overall process. And yeah, I mean, so far we covered almost everything. The platform part is pending. We'll cover it tomorrow and then we'll wrap it up. All right, guys, if you have any question, you can ask or else we can drop off. No question? All right, bye.